after that, we had the Kenny Omega appearance. And this was simply Kenny walking out and getting a good ovation from the crowd in Osaka. They were happy to see him. And once he got out there, he of course speaks Japanese fluently. And so he did his promo in both Japanese and English. And he said he wants to return to wrestling soon. And he wants to do it in a New Japan ring at Wrestle Dynasty. Now, they didn't have anyone come out, really and confront. It was just basically, just him saying that I want to come back. And everybody was happy to hear it. We heard later, and this kind of shows you where Kenny might be physically. We heard from Chris Charlton later that he got into a physical altercation with Gabe Kidd in the back, but we did not see that. That was not put on camera. So I may tell you that maybe he's not exactly ready to come back and do anything physical quite yet, but he feels like he will. Says he's coming back at Wrestle Dynasty. I was relieved, of course, that the direction may be Gabe Kidd and not the tag team match with the Young Bucks.
I thought it was Path A to Hell and Path B to Hell for you.
Yeah, well, here's when the Young Bucks did their little video where they just said, "We're back," and crickets chirped. I thought that had to be a warning sign for New Japan. There are other things that Huey and Dewey can do, and we'll talk about those in a little bit because I think there's some ideas that would be better than. You got to remember, the Young Bucks were not huge stars in New Japan. They stood next to huge stars in New Japan. They stood next to Kenny. They were in his corner. They stood next to AJ Styles. He was in their corner. The Young Bucks in Japan were part of the junior tag title scene, which was not a main event scene. Like most of their matches were before intermission, second or third on the card. They were good. Those matches were good. But especially at Wrestle Kingdom, they'd be similar to what they're doing this year in a four-way that's second on the show. So the idea that all of a sudden these guys are New Japan main eventers, that's not true. They weren't.
No.
And so the idea of having Wrestle Dynasty, a baseball stadium show built around guys who weren't main event guys against – now, Kenny's a big star and Tanahashi's a big star, but it felt weird to me, and I'm kind of glad they're not headed in that way because there was no mention of them whatsoever on this show.
I have so many questions right now about all of this.
Yeah, it's very weird, but I have an idea of what they could do. But
please tell me what the Young Bucks can do.
Challenge for any of the tag team titles at Wrestle Dynasty. Again, either the heavyweight tag champs or the junior tag champs. Either one's a good
marquee tag team that the Young Bucks should be wrestling in New Japan right now.
Well, TMDK wouldn't be a bad match if they win it. Hell, would you be upset at seeing the Intergalactic Jet Setters or Catch 2-2 or Fujita and Eagles?
Wrestle for the junior tag titles at this point.
Probably not because they think they're big stars even though they aren't. So why not the heavyweight tag team titles or something like that?
And then I'm asking you this: who is the franchise tag team that they would wrestle from New Japan?
Well, who do you think it would be?
I don't think we have one.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, I don't think the Young Bucks are in this. I think the Young Bucks might be at Wrestle Dynasty, but I don't think they're main eventing it. You seem to think that they're going to be at the last.
I don't think they're main eventing it at all now.
No, I'd be fine if they weren't. I would love it if they weren't, but I think they will be.
I am completely confused about everything right now. The thing that makes the most sense to me, okay, is the possibility that Kenny Omega and Gabe Kidd have a match at Wrestle Kingdom, and they do that other match. But that doesn't make any sense to me at all because we're not even sure Kenny Omega is going to be cleared in time to wrestle.
And he's only talking about Dynasty, not Kingdom.
I hear you. So now we're in a situation where if it's going to be Gabe Kidd and Kenny Omega in a special singles match,
and we don't know that,
it could be Gabe Kidd and the Young Bucks with like Kenny, Tanahashi, and somebody else.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I'm saying? There are things to this that all don't seem to make sense. There's no tag team right now that they can put up against the Young Bucks for a special tag match. There just isn't.
Well, what about? I mean, and I'm just spitballing here, but the idea that maybe he's not ready for a singles match yet, and it'll be a tag. If he's going at it with Gabe Kidd, Gabe Kidd's tag team partner is Sonata in World Tag League. Gabe and Sonata versus Kenny and Tanahashi versus Kenny, and you could do something like that.
It's entirely possible. It's just one of those. You on King of Pro Wrestling had a video in which the Young Bucks said they are going to be at Wrestle Dynasty. It will take a considerable amount to walk that back if they are not going to be on Wrestle Dynasty, or if there's not a viable, like, real match for them. That's just a part of it that I'm kind of spinning in my head. It's like, you guys really went out of your way to make it clear that the Bucks were coming for the first time since 2018. So if this is going to be a half-ass thing, you're not going to get people to buy this pay-per-view.
I'm not sure that the Bucks against the IWGP World Tag Team Champions is necessarily a dud. I'm just saying, like, whoever that might be, that could be a thing.
It's not that I think it's a dud. I think that right now the tag division does not have marquee stars in which getting the Young Bucks over to do a match with them, with whoever may be the IWGP tag champions after Wrestle Kingdom, is really just like, go ahead and take my money.
Well, that match doesn't have to draw the house either. So
it doesn't.
That's not the match that has to draw the house. Okay. So anyway, interesting things there with Kenny, certainly. We'll see how they spin that off. The other thing, Gabe, well, we'll talk about when we get to Lowell, but Gabe, yeah, of course, Gabe Kidd always has his sights on like 4 different guys at once. Mm-hmm. That's just kind of been a trope for him. He's been talking crap about Takeshita, and he said, it'll be interesting that Takeshita is going to be in Long Beach, isn't he? And he's going to be in Lowell and all that. So it sounds like he's on some sort of collision course with him too. So, but
that would be fun.
Yeah, Gabe works a lot of different fronts. So